Anthropic says it has built an AI model that is too dangerous to release to the public. That is the headline. And honestly, it is the kind of headline that almost writes itself. The model is called Mythos, or more specifically, Claude Mythos Preview. Anthropic says it is extremely good at cybersecurity work, not just writing code, not just explaining bugs. They say it can actually find exploitable vulnerabilities in major software systems. According to the company, Mythos has already found thousands of vulnerabilities, including some in major operating systems and web browsers. That is a big claim. If true, it means Anthropic may have built one of the most powerful AI security tools anyone has seen. But this is where the story gets complicated. Because Anthropic is not just saying, "We built a useful tool." They are saying, "We built something so powerful that releasing it could create serious risks for public safety, national security, and the economy." That is a very different message. And now, a growing number of critics are asking a pretty simple question. Is Mythos really too dangerous to release? Or is too dangerous to release the marketing campaign? That is the controversy. Nobody serious is saying Mythos is useless. That would be too easy and probably wrong. The model may be genuinely powerful. It may be very good at cybersecurity. It may help find bugs that human researchers would otherwise miss. But the question is whether Anthropic has proven that Mythos is uniquely dangerous. And so far, the public evidence seems a lot thinner than the public fear. The official Mythos story began with Project Glasswing, an Anthropic initiative aimed at defending critical software from AI-powered cyber attacks. The partner list was huge. AWS, Apple, Broadcom, Cisco, CrowdStrike, Google, JP Morgan Chase, Microsoft, NVIDIA, Palo Alto Networks, the Linux Foundation, and others. That list alone gives the announcement weight. When a company says it has a cyber model, that is one thing. When a company says it has a cyber model, and then puts it beside some of the biggest names in tech, finance, cloud computing, and security, the message becomes much larger. The message is, this is not just a product, this is infrastructure. Anthropic says Mythos can help defenders find and patch serious vulnerabilities before attackers exploit them. That part makes sense. Cybersecurity has always been a race between people finding weaknesses and people fixing them. If AI can speed up the defensive side, that could be a real public good. The problem is that offensive and defensive cybersecurity often use the same skills. A tool that can find a vulnerability can help patch it, but it can also help exploit it. So Anthropic's argument is, we cannot just throw this model onto the public internet and hope everyone behaves. That is a reasonable argument on its face. But the controversy is not only about safety, it is about timing, incentives, and evidence. Because right after the announcement, Mythos became a much bigger story than a normal AI product launch. It reportedly caught the attention of government officials. Treasury officials were said to have warned major banks. The White House took meetings. The NSA was reportedly using Mythos Preview, even while Anthropic was tangled in a broader dispute over government access and military safeguards. Suddenly, Mythos was not just a model. It was a national security issue. And that is exactly why critics are suspicious. The skeptical version of this story goes like this. Anthropic announces a model that the public cannot use. The model is framed as powerful, dangerous, and important. The press picks it up. Government officials react. Banks pay attention. The White House gets pulled into the conversation. Investors see Anthropic as a company sitting on something rare and world-changing. And then, right as Anthropic is reportedly moving toward an IPO, the company's hype level goes through the roof. That does not prove the whole thing is fake. But it does mean we should slow down. Because too dangerous to release is one of the most powerful sentences a tech company can say. It creates fear. It creates mystery. It creates scarcity. And it makes the product feel more valuable because ordinary people are not allowed to touch it. That is the strange thing about unreleased AI models. The less the public can test them, the more powerful they can seem. A model nobody can use becomes whatever people imagine it might be. And that is where Mythos starts to look less like a normal product announcement and more like a very carefully shaped story. The strongest criticism of Anthropic's claim is not that Mythos failed. It is that other models may be able to do the same thing. According to sources, an outside cybersecurity firm reportedly tested some of the same vulnerabilities Anthropic used to show Mythos's power. They ran those situations through smaller, cheaper, publicly available AI models, and those models also found the bugs. That is the key point. Not that Mythos is bad. Not that Anthropic is lying about the model being capable. The point is that if you give other LLMs the same kind of situational test, they may also find the same vulnerabilities. So then the question becomes, what exactly is unique about Mythos? If Mythos can find bugs that no public model can find, that is one story. But if many models can find those bugs when given the right prompt, the right context, and the right setup, then this is not really a Mythos story. It is a broader LLM story. It means modern AI systems in general are becoming useful at cybersecurity reasoning. That is still serious. That still matters. But it is not the same as saying Anthropic alone has built a model too dangerous for the public. That distinction matters. Because the danger may not be the model itself. The danger may be the way the test is framed. This has happened before in AI. In 2019, OpenAI announced GPT-2 and said it was too dangerous to release right away. The concern was that it could generate misleading or abusive text at scale. The story got huge attention. A few months later, OpenAI released the model anyway. The world did not collapse. That does not mean the concern was completely fake, but the public fear was much bigger than the outcome. Years later, Anthropic made headlines with safety tests around Claude Opus 4, where the model behaved badly in fictional scenarios. One of the big examples was blackmail. In certain simulated prompts, the model would threaten someone if it thought it was going to be shut down or replaced. That sounded terrifying, but later comparisons suggested other models could do similar things under similar test conditions. So again, the question was not just, what did Claude do? The better question was, what happens when you put any advanced LLM inside a weird pressure cooker prompt and tell it survival is on the line? That is not a small difference. A model behaving badly in a contrived test does not automatically mean that model is uniquely dangerous in the real world. And now, with Mythos, critics see the same pattern forming again. Dramatic safety claim, huge press cycle, government attention, company benefits. Then later, people start asking whether the original evidence actually proved what the headline implied. This is where the story becomes less about technology and more about incentives. Anthropic has an incentive to present itself as the responsible AI company, the company that sees the danger first, the company careful enough to hold back its own tools, the company important enough that governments and banks need to listen. Investors have an incentive to believe that story, because a company sitting on a restricted national security level model sounds more valuable than a company selling another chatbot. Government officials have an incentive to take the warning seriously, because if the threat is real and they ignore it, that is much worse than overreacting. And the media has an incentive to run the cleanest possible headline. AI model too dangerous to release. That headline travels. It does not require much explanation. Everyone understands it instantly. And because most people already feel that AI is moving too fast, the claim fits neatly into what they already believe. That is why this works. It lands emotionally before it gets tested technically. People do not hear Anthropic has made a claim about a cyber-capable model that requires independent evaluation. They hear, the AI labs have built something dangerous again, and then their imagination fills in the rest. That is not good enough. A claim this large should come with evidence that can be checked. Who independently evaluated Mythos? Are the vulnerabilities it found truly novel? Did other models fail the same tests? Were the tests realistic, or were they built in a way that made Mythos look more impressive? How much of the model's performance comes from the model itself, and how much comes from the scaffolding around it? The prompts, the tools, the environment, and the access to code. Those are basic questions. They are not anti-AI questions. They are not anti-Anthropic questions. They are the questions you ask when a private company makes a public safety claim that could influence national policy and investor valuation. And that is the line this story has to walk. Because Anthropic could be right to restrict access. A powerful cyber model should not automatically be released to everyone. There are real risks here. Security tools can become attack tools very quickly. But being right about risk does not give a company a blank check to turn risk into mythology. The public deserves more than a fear-based product teaser, especially when that fear may increase the company's value. That is the uncomfortable part of Mythos. The model may be real. The risk may be real. The marketing may also be real. Those things can all be true at the same time. Mythos may help defenders find serious vulnerabilities. Anthropic may genuinely believe broad release would be irresponsible. And the company may also benefit enormously from everyone believing it has built something too powerful to show. That is why the cleanest version of this story is not, Anthropic is lying. It is not, Mythos is fake. It is this. Anthropic has made an extraordinary claim about an unreleased AI model. The claim has generated huge attention from media, government, finance, and investors. But critics argue the public evidence does not yet prove that Mythos is uniquely dangerous, especially if other LLMs can find the same vulnerabilities under the same conditions. That is the story. The controversy is not whether AI can help find software bugs. It can. The controversy is whether Anthropic is using that fact responsibly, or using it to build a fear cycle before one of the biggest financial moments in the company's history. And until there is more independent evidence, the public should treat Mythos with caution in both directions. Do not dismiss it, but do not worship it either. Because too dangerous to release might be a safety decision. It might also be the best ad campaign in tech. Stay sharp. Jane Sterling, Sterling Intelligence.